My beloved child, if these words have found you today, do not scroll away. This message is not here by accident. There is something hidden that has been unfolding behind the scenes for much longer than you realize. Stay with me until the very end, because what is about to be revealed may explain the strange feelings you've had, the unexpected delays you've faced, and the silent connection you could never fully understand. Your soulmate's family has been watching you in silence, not because they wished to harm you, but because they were trying to understand the person who would one day become deeply connected to someone they love. Long before you knew their name, conversations about you had already begun in places you could never see. Questions were asked. Quiet observations were made. Small details about your character reached ears you never expected. They noticed something different about you. Something that could not be explained by appearance alone. They saw kindness when no one was watching. They saw patience during difficult seasons. They saw strength hidden beneath your silent battles. Even when you believed nobody noticed your tears, heaven allowed certain eyes to witness the goodness inside your heart. But there was one secret that nobody dared to speak aloud. A single truth remained locked away because the timing was not yet right. That silence is beginning to break. Someone within your soulmate's family can no longer ignore what they have discovered, and what happens next could change everything. Before this message continues, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, because every message shared here is meant to strengthen your faith and remind you that God's timing is always greater than human understanding. Now listen carefully, because the next part reveals why their silence lasted for so long. They remained silent because they were waiting for proof that your heart would stay the same even when life became difficult. Character cannot be measured during easy seasons. It is revealed during moments of disappointment, loneliness, and uncertainty. Without realizing it, you have already passed through tests that were never announced. Every time you chose forgiveness instead of bitterness, every time you continued moving forward despite heartbreak, every time you refused to become like those who hurt you, your story quietly reached people connected to your soulmate. They began to realize that you carried something far more valuable than success or popularity. You carried integrity. Yet not everyone agreed. One voice inside the family questioned whether you were truly the right person. Doubts filled the room. Different opinions created quiet tension. Some believed the connection should never move forward, while another person defended you without you even knowing your name had become part of private conversations. What surprised everyone was that every negative assumption about you slowly fell apart as more truth came to light. The more they learned, the more difficult it became to deny that your presence was bringing unexpected peace into situations that had been filled with confusion. Even your soulmate could no longer ignore the feeling growing inside their heart. They tried convincing themselves it was only coincidence, but every path somehow led back to thoughts of you Meanwhile, one unexpected event has begun unfolding behind the scenes. A conversation is about to happen that nobody can stop, and once those words are spoken, the silence that has lasted for so long will finally begin to disappear. But what they are preparing to reveal is far greater than anyone expected, and the next part uncovers the shocking reason. Your soulmate's family suddenly changed the way they see you, the moment everything began to change was far quieter than anyone expected. There was no dramatic announcement, no public confession, only a single conversation that slowly shifted every opinion inside your soulmate's family. Someone finally admitted, "Every time we hear something new about this person, it proves we judged too quickly." Those words filled the room with silence. For the first time, the doubts that had surrounded your name began to disappear. They remembered the difficult situations you had faced, yet you never allowed hardship to steal your kindness. They noticed that even after disappointment, you continued treating others with respect. That kind of strength cannot be faked, and it cannot remain hidden forever. Meanwhile, your soulmate has been carrying emotions they have struggled to explain. They have tried distracting themselves, convincing their heart to move in another direction, but every attempt has only brought them back to you. They are beginning to understand that some connections are guided by a purpose greater than human plans. Even now, they find themselves wondering what your future together could look like if fear no longer stood in the way. But there is still one final obstacle standing between both of you. A single person connected to the family has been holding on to an old misunderstanding, believing something about you that simply isn't true. That misunderstanding is about to be challenged in a way nobody expected. Hidden information is preparing to surface. And once it does, the walls that have separated you for so long may begin to fall one by one. Your soulmate has no idea that this revelation is already moving closer with every passing day. Someone who once remained completely silent is preparing to speak, and the words they choose could completely transform the future of this connection. But what they reveal next is so unexpected that even your soulmate will be left speechless, because the truth they have protected for so long can no longer remain hidden. For so long, the truth remained locked behind closed doors because everyone believed silence was the safest choice. But silence has a limit. And that limit is finally being reached. The person who once questioned your place in your soulmate's life has started noticing things they cannot explain. They have watched how your name keeps appearing in conversations, how unexpected coincidences continue surrounding this connection, and how every attempt to ignore it somehow makes the feeling even stronger. Deep inside, they are beginning to wonder if this relationship was never ordinary to begin with. One evening, a private discussion took place that your soulmate never expected. Your name was mentioned once again, but this time the atmosphere felt completely different. Instead of criticism, there was curiosity. Instead of doubt, there were questions about your future, your character, and the kind of life you hope to build. Someone quietly admitted, maybe we've been looking at this the wrong way all along. Those simple words changed everything. They became the beginning of a new chapter that nobody saw coming. Meanwhile, your soulmate has been feeling an unusual pull toward you that grows stronger with each passing day. They cannot fully explain why your presence stays in their thoughts, even during the busiest moments of life. Every attempt to move on only reminds them of the connection they have been trying to understand. What they don't know is that while they have been searching for answers, their own family has already started finding them. But there is one final piece of the puzzle that has not yet been revealed. Someone has been protecting a secret about you, not out of fear, but because they believed the timing wasn't right. That secret is now on the edge of being exposed, and when it finally comes into the light, your soulmate will realize that the family who once watched you in silence has become the very family preparing to open the door that once seemed permanently closed. The next revelation is the most unexpected of all, because it uncovers the promise that has been quietly waiting behind the scenes from the very beginning. The secret that was kept hidden for so long was not something created to separate you from your soulmate. It was something that was waiting for the right moment to be understood. Your soulmate's family began realizing that they were not just observing a person from a distance anymore. They were witnessing someone who had already made an impact without even trying. They noticed the way your presence brought calm into situations that once felt complicated. They noticed the patience you carried, the respect you showed, and the way you continued walking forward even when nobody was cheering for you. These were the things that slowly changed their hearts. But there was one conversation that became the turning point. A family member finally asked the question everyone had been avoiding: what if this person is exactly who we were hoping they would be? The room became quiet because deep down, many of them already knew the answer. They had spent so much time searching for reasons to doubt you that they almost missed the reasons to believe in you. Your soulmate also started feeling a change. The distance that once felt impossible to cross began feeling smaller. The fear that once controlled their decisions began losing its power. They started realizing that some people enter your life not by accident, but during a season when your heart needs healing and your future needs direction. Still, there was one final hesitation remaining. Someone in the family was afraid of what would happen if the truth was finally spoken. They worried about how everyone would react, and they wondered if revealing everything too soon could change the connection forever. But what they did not know was that the truth had already started creating a path. Every hidden conversation, every silent observation, and every unanswered question was leading toward one moment where everything would finally be revealed. And that moment is closer than anyone expects. Because soon, your soulmate's family will no longer be watching you from a distance, they will be ready to acknowledge the place you hold in this story. But before that happens, a surprising message is about to reach your soulmate, and the words inside that message will make them see your connection in a completely different way. The message that was about to arrive carried a truth that had been waiting for the perfect moment. Your soulmate did not know that while they were fighting their own doubts, people around them were slowly beginning to understand the depth of this connection. The words they received were simple, but their impact was powerful. It made them look back at every moment they had questioned, every time they felt uncertain, and every time they wondered if they were making the right choice. Suddenly, everything started making sense. They realized that the reason they could never completely forget you was because something about your connection felt different from anything they had experienced before. Their family had noticed it too. They had seen the change in your soulmate whenever your name was mentioned. They had seen the emotions hidden behind their silence. They had seen the way your soulmate tried to act normal while carrying feelings they could not explain. And slowly, they began accepting what their hearts already knew. But there was still one more challenge standing in the way. A fear from the past was trying to hold on to the present. Old misunderstandings, old assumptions, and old worries were creating a final wall. Yet this wall was weaker than before because truth had already started breaking through. Someone who once stayed quiet decided it was time to speak honestly. They shared what they had observed about you, and those words changed the entire conversation. They explained that your worth was never about what you had, what you could provide, or how others judged you. Your worth was found in your heart, your loyalty, and the way you continued shining even during your hardest days. Your soulmate's family finally understood that they were not just choosing a person for their loved one, they were recognizing someone who had already brought a positive change into their life. But what happens next will be the moment everyone remembers, because a decision is about to be made that could completely change the future of this connection. The silence that lasted for so long is finally preparing to end, and the next revelation will uncover what your soulmate's family truly wants to tell you. The moment your soulmate's family finally accepted the truth, something shifted that nobody could ignore. The same people who once watched quietly from a distance began looking at you with a completely different perspective. They no longer saw you as a stranger entering their world. They started seeing you as someone who could bring happiness, stability, and genuine care into the life of the person they love. The doubts that once filled their minds were slowly replaced with understanding. They began remembering every small detail they had noticed about you, the way you handled pressure, the way you respected others, and the way you continued believing in love even after experiencing disappointment. Those moments became the proof they needed. Meanwhile, your soulmate was standing at a crossroads. They had spent so much time protecting their feelings, hiding their emotions, and pretending everything was normal. But deep inside, they knew they could not keep running from what their heart was telling them. They started preparing themselves for A conversation they had been avoiding for a long time. A conversation where they would finally express what they truly feel. But before they could take that step, something unexpected happened. A member of their family shared a truth that changed everything. They revealed that they had been quietly hoping this connection would succeed because they had seen something special that others could not see. They had seen how your soulmate became a better version of themselves when you were part of their thoughts. They had seen hope returning to their eyes. They had seen a happiness that had been missing for a long time. This revelation touched your soulmate deeply because they realized they were not alone in feeling this connection. The people around them had noticed it too. The walls of fear and uncertainty were beginning to disappear. But there is still one final moment left before everything comes into the open. A decision has to be made, and this decision will determine whether the silence ends forever or continues a little longer. Because someone is preparing to reveal the one thing your soulmate's family has been protecting all this time, a truth that will finally explain why they were watching you in silence until now. The moment of truth has finally arrived. The silence that surrounded your soulmate's family for so long is beginning to disappear, and the reason behind everything is finally becoming clear. They were never watching you because they wanted to judge you. They were watching because they wanted to understand the person who had captured the heart of someone they deeply care about. They wanted to know if your intentions were real, if your heart was genuine, and if your presence would bring peace instead of pain. And now, after everything they have witnessed, they have their answer. They have seen your strength during difficult times. They have seen your kindness when nobody was giving you attention. They have seen the way you continued believing in love even when life gave you reasons to give up. That is what changed their hearts. They realized that a person like you cannot be measured by first impressions or temporary situations. A person's true value is revealed through their actions, and your actions spoke louder than any words ever could. Your soulmate is also beginning a new chapter. The fear that once held them back is losing its power. They are starting to understand that some connections require patience, growth, and courage before they can fully come alive. They know that avoiding their feelings will not change what their heart already knows. The conversation they once feared is becoming the conversation they are ready to have. The family that stayed silent is now ready to open the door. The questions that remained unanswered are finally finding their answers. The distance that felt impossible to cross is becoming smaller with every step. Remember, sometimes the biggest blessings arrive quietly. Sometimes the people who are meant to recognize your worth take time to see the full picture. But when the truth finally appears, nothing can hide it anymore. If this message touched your heart, take a moment to believe that every season of waiting has a purpose. Keep your heart open, keep growing, and keep becoming the best version of yourself. The love, respect, and connection meant for you. Will never need to be forced, it will find its way at the right time. If you enjoyed this message, like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more powerful messages that inspire your heart. May you be surrounded by love, peace, and endless blessings.